Welcome.
Are you ready to thrive?
Of course you are. Life is all about thriving forward and doing things your way. I'm laughing. Do you know what? The guest we've got on today, she's so amazing that I'm getting so excited to talk to her. Ivona, are you there?
I am here and I'm giggling away as usual.
I love this lady so much and I'm so thankful that you're here today. This is episode 3 and you are the first guest on the Sussex Way Podcast.
Oh, what an honour.
Thank you so much for being here. And this is going to be a great episode because today Ivona she's a relationship specialist, okay? And she's going to talk us through dating after divorce, because Meghan Markle, she used to be married, she got divorced, and now we all know she's with Prince Harry. And if you haven't listened to the previous episodes yet, the Sussex Way podcast, it's all about taking these issues that Meghan and Harry, so many things have happened to them, but everyone wants to kind of like do that whole gossip thing and showbiz thing. And I thought, why is everyone missing this opportunity to actually talk about some real life subjects and taboo subjects? Because Ivona, I'm sure with a lot of your clients as well, is this kind of like a taboo issue of actually dating after you get divorced?
It does happen, and divorce is a biggie, but even a long-term relationship, which could be seen as a marriage, is pretty frightening, because a lot of the people that come to me tend to be of the more mature age, a bit like myself. So they're over 40s, 50s, and it's that sense of embarrassment of having not worked through a marriage or what could be seen as a failed marriage, and that kind of curiosity around dating and how do you do it now? What's the way forward? So yes, it is a very popular topic and a very emotional topic for some of the clients that come to me.
And how do, people in general just deal with those emotions? Because I've never been married. I've been with guys for, a while, but I never got married to any of them, thank goodness. But so I don't know that kind of, when you're married, there's just so much more attachment, isn't there? Because you're sharing things, you're in the same house. So talk us through that process. And, like I mentioned, Meghan Markle, she was married. So what is that kind of emotional roller coaster? And when you enter your second marriage, is there, do you still have any attachment to your first husband? How does that kind of work? Yeah,
it's an interesting one, because I suppose if we talk about marriage, you don't go into marriage. Well, I certainly didn't go into marriage as a divorcee thinking I was going to get divorced. That wasn't the intention. So you believe that is the person for you, and you'll spend all your years with that person and grow old together. So it's that kind of sparkly feel. So when you know the relationship is going wrong, there is a panic. Some relationships can be mended, and I'm all for marriage, to be honest. I love the idea of marriage, even though I'm a divorcee. But what happens, if I base it on my own experience, which was decades ago, I know I sound very young, but this was decades ago.
You are young.
I'm a very mature woman. So I remember feeling really embarrassed when I realised that the only way forward was to divorce. And I didn't really tell anybody, but I did it in a kind of what I thought was a logical way, working out the pros and cons to come out with, the reason why I needed to divorce. And to be honest, at that time, if I cast my mind back, I really didn't want to be in another relationship ever again. It was so painful. It was something I hadn't actually imagined that would happen. And I had some really negative views on men at that time. We're talking decades ago, a couple of decades ago. And it was because, to be honest, it was me not understanding myself, not understanding what I really wanted. And I began to feel really independent, fiercely independent. So when you divorce, sometimes you kind of say, I don't need anybody, and you end up creating a world that doesn't involve anybody else. But I was fortunate in my situation. I've got 2 beautiful children, so I don't think it's a negative thing, my experience. It's just at the time it was very painful, and my divorce has not affected my daughter. As you know, Veena, she's getting married in March, so her thoughts,
congratulations to her.
So but it's that feeling, as I said, it's embarrassment, it's who am I now, what's my status, what's somebody going to think about me. So the whole thing about dating did not feature for me for some years at all. And it's only after time, when I kind of got my head together, then I started dating. I haven't dated many people. I haven't been in a relationship, in many relationships, to be honest. And for those I've been in, they lasted quite long. So it's a strange feeling. So it can be shunned. Divorce can be shunned in society, and I can imagine if you're talking about the royal family, it's like, oh my gosh, how could Harry marry Meghan, a divorcee? That always seems to feature quite highly, doesn't it?
And in terms of, again, that kind of emotional attachment to someone, do you think Meghan, like you just mentioned it, a lot of people when they divorce, they're like, yeah, I'm so independent. Do you think that was maybe hard for her when she had met people after her first husband to be like, actually, do you know what? Not all men are like, I don't know what happened in her first marriage, but do you think she maybe had that, I don't need anyone, I can do this by myself? Or again, it's really just a case-to-case basis?
I think it is a case-to-case basis, but you see, with life, and some of the women that I work with, the focus tends to be on relationships and getting into a relationship, and some want to get married. But the whole wheel of life, which I call a life audit, there's different parts of your life. The emphasis could be on the relationship and not thinking about other areas of your life, whether it's career, whether it's your health, whether it's moving home or whatever. And maybe what happens, and certainly happened for me, when a relationship fails, you start focusing on other parts of your life. And maybe in Meghan's case, that's what she did. She started focusing on something that she could call maybe her own, that she can control and represent what she's about at that time. And I did the same thing. I focused mainly on my kids, priority. Everything was about my kids. But alongside that, as an ex-civil servant, I focus a lot on my career so that I can block some of the pain and block that I'm doing something right. I may have failed in that relationship or that marriage, but look how wonderful I am, bringing up my kids, or in my case, having a house and keeping that going and doing well, going through the system at work. So that's what you do. And I think, as you know, Veena, I talk about getting single people relationship ready, and it really is about making sure that you're okay in all areas of your life as best you can, so that you're stronger should something like this happens, whether it's a breakdown of relationship or marriage, that that you're still okay. There are other parts of your life that you can focus on. So for me, it's a case of getting on and focusing on what I'm good at. And I think that's what I did. And I think maybe to some extent, maybe that's what Meghan did. But as we know, we don't know the ins and outs. And that's the interesting thing. We speculate, don't we?
This is why I just find it hilarious what is going on. I'm not an avid watcher of the news. Because I used to watch it so much, and I thought, what is this doing to my mind? It's really not, it's not good for your brain when you're consuming all this, the news, and especially all this showbiz stuff. We don't need to know about it. So when I am flicking through and seeing the odd clip here and there, I am finding it quite fascinating and funny how everyone's getting so emotional about what is going on between Meghan and Harry. And again, this is why the inspiration for this podcast, because I thought there's actually so many topics that we can talk about. So why can't these big news organizations be like, okay, like what we're doing today, talk about the effects of divorce, and you know, as you mentioned, you get single people ready for dating as well. And what would kind of be your tips? Now, this is just for anyone, not necessarily for Meghan, because, you know, she's married now, but just for people in general, in terms of if they have, you know, recently been divorced, or maybe, you know, a couple of years ago, what are your tips for them to kind of get back in the dating game, especially if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s?
Yeah.
Because I am so, Ivona, like, you need to help us, because these dating apps, you know, I'm in my 30s and I'm just a bit like, I find a lot of people, and they're very, what's the word? I don't know. It's like people don't have communication skills.
It's all. I mean, I've tried to. I ain't gonna lie. I've done it for research purposes. Being a single, I don't do research because I want to be authentic, because it's a way forward, certainly with young people. And I would put you as a young person in your 30s, it is normal to be online, because that's just another option. Somebody a bit older, there will be the myths around you know, are you desperate because you're going online? But it's just another option. But I've tried it, and I personally don't like it, right? And I came off it, and I didn't like all this beeping. You know, it beeps, oh, you got another message. And I suppose I should be, you know,
open to happy, Ivona. The people are trying to message you.
What's this? Oh, not another, because you don't know the person. But it's just another option. I'm more into proper face-to-face relationship building. And I will give you some advice on, you know, for your listeners on dating again.
If we don't want to go on these, because look, there's pros and cons to everything. These dating apps, like, I've actually got friends. One of my best friends, she met a guy on a dating app. I think it was one of the first people she talked to, and she's been with him for like 6 years now. So there are lots of success stories. But for people like me and you who are a bit like, oh, I've tried it and it just doesn't sit well with me for whatever reason, how can we go and meet people out there the traditional way?
But this is it. It does work. I know loads of people who met their partners and they're still with them, as like your friend, years on. And I just think it's another option. I think a lot of it's to do with our personalities as well. How we like to connect up with people, and how quickly we want to connect up with people. Although I do a lot of work with single people and getting a relationship ready, I'm more into relationship building. So I like to create the environment that is more natural, so that people meet with not the idea, oh, somebody's looking to match me up, but you're just looking to have fun in a kind of normal friendship environment. So I believe this is the way forward. I mean, the thing that I've got running, which is more of a fundraising event, it's called Fun Free Friending. I've made it very clear it's not about dating. It's about having normal conversations with people, you know, and just knowing how you can connect up with strangers who are totally different. If we take some of those experiences and those skills, and when we go on a date, it should be natural. It shouldn't be, oh my gosh, this person, is this the right one for me? You're just having a conversation. You're just, you know, having a meal or going bowling. So I'm more into like a normal setup, like a games evening, or something in which you have an interest. So maybe a meetup where they do, I was going to say rock climbing, but I don't do rock climbing. I don't know how you could connect up. Well, it could be quite nice. You could meet somebody rock climbing, but somebody who shares similar interests. That seems to be a more natural thing for me.
So is the key here really to encourage people to, like, I don't know, like join different clubs and just join different things as well where they're interested in, like, you know, I'll bring up the example of rock climbing again. So if you are into rock climbing, rather than doing it by yourself, see if there's a club or an event or a meetup near you where other rock climbers go and make friends.
Absolutely. And to not take it so seriously. You see, I differentiate the dating and the relationship bit. You know, sometimes you read in one breath, like if you're divorcee, how do you start dating again? Well, it doesn't mean a relationship. I always say a date is a date. It's not a relationship yet. So let's chill. In other words, let's chill. All right.
I love that. Let's just chill. But
let's just chill.
And you know, the phrase I always come back to is you find love when you least expect it. Because so many people are always like, I'm going to go out and find a boyfriend. I'm like, I don't really know if that's how it works. Like, you go and find a boyfriend. So it does really just happen out of the blue sometimes, doesn't it? In the most random situation.
And I think sometimes the person that's right for you is closer than you even imagine. Do you see what I mean? Because so if there's anybody that seems to be lurking in the background,
what I was thinking. I was like, oh, who's in my life?
Yeah, sometimes we're actually blinded by what could be right ahead of us. It could be a friend. It could be somebody that always turns up and supports you at certain places. We may have an image, a physical image sometimes, of what this person would look like who'd be right for you. But when you just kind of chill and just relax and be more mindful about day-to-day stuff, the person is probably right there, you know? So that's one of the tips I would give. Just be more aware of your environment, and don't kind of rule out somebody who could be a friend, but maybe something more.
Yeah, love that. And is it also not to just be, I don't know, what, you know, as a relationship specialist, should we be having a checklist of, you know, qualities and, I don't know, things we want in a partner or a relationship or even a friendship? Or should we just be, again, just, you know, your quote, just chill? Should we just have no expectations? What is the kind of right balance for that?
I think the most important is to know you, because we spend so much time looking out there. I want that person to be this, that, and the other. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have standards. And I think it is important to have expectations, but you have to start with yourself. I know it sounds very cliche, but it is so, so true. So if you're talking about a divorce, let's go back to dating after divorce. If you've just had a divorce, or it could be, you know, decades ago, to stop and think, what is it in that relationship that didn't work? And what's that saying about me and what my needs are right now? Right? What is it I can do for myself? And what is it I would expect a partner, future partner, to enhance within me and as a relationship? So I think it's not so much a checklist, it's looking at yourself. I mean, I've certainly done that at the end of a relationship. I've kind of not beaten myself up, and I think that is a tip. Don't beat yourself up over the end of a relationship, but just look and see what positives you've gained from it, which is usually an understanding of your needs. And for me, in my last relationship, I don't have a go at the person. I will not do that. I will say, what have I realised that's important to me right now? And for me, I know I need to be more honest. I need to be more open. I need to say what's in my heart more, rather than protect the person to not hurt their feelings. So we have to be true to ourselves first before expecting that person to fulfill something that we haven't even got in ourselves, that we don't even understand ourselves first. Do you understand where I'm coming from here, Veena?
Oh, I'm literally listening in awe to what you're saying. A lot of the things you're saying is what everyone needs to hear. Because again, I think sometimes a lot of people are like, oh, that guy is this. Men are all like this. But at the end of the day, we do have to look at ourselves. Absolutely. And really analyse, because I think we all get caught up in this. We're also busy working. If you've got children, you're so consumed in your kids. And, you know, it is difficult sometimes to actually sit down and analyse yourself. It's not always about the other person. It's like, what's within you? Because I think a lot of us have experiences that we've gone through, or even traumas that we aren't even healed from. And we might be projecting that into the relationship as well, isn't it?
That's right. And that's why, you know, when it comes to dating, I said dating is a date, it's not relationship, but sometimes people may rush into one after divorce, and it's important not to rush into that and thinking that will heal me. It made me feel good about myself because I'm dating, right? I remember working with somebody who wanted to do just that, and they were just going on dates, and I was thinking in my head, but I had to be very sensitive how I approached this. What is it they need to do for themselves rather than rely on the other person to fill that hole? Because you'll rush into it and that person may not be right for you. That person may just add more burden, stress, and insecurity on you as a person if that relationship doesn't last. So there is a bit of a healing process or working through process, or what you call a reflection period, in which you sort of say, okay, what do I want now in my life? And
you know what, that's gold what you just said. Anyone, if you have just broken up with someone, schedule it in your diary. Have that time called a reflection period.
Oh gosh,
I love that.
It is crucial, because I remember after my last relationship, one of my counsellor friends said, what did you do to contribute to the end of the relationship? And I thought, what? It's not me. But it's true. We all make a contribution towards it. And it could be, as I said, not being so open and honest and true in terms of what I'm experiencing and feeling a lot sooner. You feel you want to protect the person, but all you're doing is delaying the inevitability. So I realized honesty is so important. Real honesty, deep honesty, done in a very sensitive way is important for my next relationship. But also know that for me, the words "got to have my back," that is a phrase. And it will mean different things to different people, but that is so crucial. The person has to have my back and I will have their back. It's a two-way thing.
Oh, Ivona, I have loved this so much. Before you go, I just want to end on this note in terms of, when someone does get divorced or, just break up with someone or break down of a relationship, what is your advice in terms of moving on from that person? Is it healthy to keep communication with that person? Can you text them now and again? Because again, we don't know, but it was reported that Meghan Markle, had her wedding rings and sent them back to her ex-husband. And with me, I'm a very good blocker. So when I split up with someone, I just block them straight away, because I'm that kind of person that's so tempted to text that person, just not for anything else, just to see if they're all right. But when I do that, it turns into, you're just telling, you're going into a whole different territory then. So I now just block them. Is it a good idea just to cut people off, or again, is just individual taste?
I think it is an individual thing, because there's so much advice, isn't it? Block, or, stay in contact. Do you know what I visualize? When you're, that when you're potty training your child, and you put the nappy on, and it's like a weaning process, isn't it? And, you're not going to expect them to, not have an accident. So you might put a nappy on and then eventually they'll be fine. They'll tell them when to go to the toilet. So it's a bit like that. Some people may need to be weaned off. So if it depends on how long the relationship, whether it's a deep relationship, whether it's marriage or whatever, there is still some care. There is still some little trickle going on. And to abruptly stop may not be of benefit to you or the other person. And it may be a case of checking in. Are you okay? And you may be doing that every day, and it will come to a point whereby you don't need to do that, and you wean it off. And I think that's important. I think we should just immediately say block them, because there's still stuff you're working through. It's a judgment call. I mean, I certainly had to do that. I did that. And then obviously when it just seemed, oh no, this is not healthy, I knew I had to take action, which meant no contact. All right. So don't beat yourself up over the what is good or what's
do what's right for you. Do what's right for you.
but also make sure you have that support system, because if that person who you shared lots with on an intimate basis, I'm not talking just physical, but on the emotional, you do need to make sure that there is somebody, you've got somebody around that you could talk to. So look at your support system. Don't be alone. We know with men, when it comes to relationships in particular, and in terms of suicide, when it comes to relationship breakdown, it hurts them, it gets them really, really bad, and they keep a lot in themselves. But women tend to talk. So that's really good. They talk to a friend or, a specialist, but just make sure you've got a support mechanism around you. And as time goes, you'll be able to start building a life for you, have a reflection, what does this new status mean to me, and how I'm going to make myself even better on a personal level based on my experience. So just flip it and try and make it more positive rather than negative.
Oh, I have loved this. We've all got lots to think about and reflect upon. So thank you so much, Ivona. You're such a beautiful soul.
Oh, and so are you.
You really are, Ivona. And where can we find out more about you?
I'm usually on all social media platforms. I love Instagram. So you'll find me at Ivona Coaching, I believe I'm on. But if you want to contact me, my email address is ivona@relationshipready.co. Okay, .co, relationshipready.co. Or you can drop me a message on 0748669821. And I've got a website as well, relationshipready.co.
Oh, no one's given. Are you sure you want to give your mobile number out?
That's my business one.
You might get some admirers calling you up now every day.
Oh, no, I never know. It's all public. So.
Oh, okay. I was like, hold on for a second.
So would I be doing the Veena block?
Ivona, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was episode 3 of the Sussex Way. And remember to become a happiness hustler. Life is all about thriving forward and doing things your way. This is the Sussex Way Podcast.
Are you ready to thrive?
Be sure to join us next time